The new world developer update for July has just dropped. Well, I say July, it's actually called June, but they're mainly talking about the July PTR. So let's talk about what they've dropped because some of the changes are massive and very important. The first one that a lot of people are going to notice straight off, and it's the obvious one that we knew was coming, and that is going to be the removal of dungeon orbs or expedition keys, if you know what I mean. And they're doing it in a sort of interesting way. So they're actually going to be time gating this, if you believe it or not, but I think it's sort of a time gate that makes sense with the rewards that the dungeons offer you. I don't necessarily think this is too bad, and when I tell you the time gating, it sort of sounds reasonable anyway. So you're going to be able to do 15 normal dungeons a day, like a casual player is going to be nowhere near that amount, and you're going to be able to do 20 mutated dungeons a week, which is just under 3 a day, which for a casual player is probably like a completely is way too many. But if you're a hardcore PvE who just does mutations all day, you might be a little bit upset with that. It doesn't appear to be that the keys are going to be usable as a key to get extra goals. It sounds like the keys are going to be doing something else. So your pre-existing orbs, they're being converted into effectively gear. I think it's either gear rerolls or just straight up you can click it and you get a random piece of gear. It was a little bit hard for me to understand, but basically it's going to be used to get extra gear or alternative gear rather than let you in the dungeon. So it literally sounds like that's the cap you're going to be at. You're just going to be able to do 20 a week of the mutated one. 15 a day for the normal ones is, you know, probably quite reasonable. The only people who would want to do that, I guess, would be really hardcore players who are trying to get their expertise up. So all in all, I think we can all be relatively happy with that. Yeah, it's a bit weird to have another time gate after we've complained about them, but I think this one's reasonable, especially considering how good the rewards are. Finally, all the people who were complaining about the orbs and dungeon keys, well, they're gone. It's game over. We don't have to longer think about that. Now, I do just want to talk about the PTR because it sounds like they're going to introduce things at different times, and then that content itself might also be staggered out. So we're going to be getting the summer fur, which I think is called the medley fur, and then we're going to get the new expedition, which is barnacles and black powder expedition. Now for the summer fur, it sounds like you're going to be playing music all around Eternum. I'm not really 100% sure what that entails. We'll obviously have to wait to find out. Now one thing that is immediately here is like, when is this PTR coming for June? Well, it sounds like we're going to get a PTR in June that's actually going to be for all the stuff we're getting in July. That's the indication that I was getting. Maybe I'm a little bit wrong there. And of course, as of this moment, we don't actually have the PTR patch notes, so there's lots of little changes that could come and that might be important that we just didn't get in this talk. So yeah, they obviously confirmed that the summer event and the new dungeon is coming in July. They also confirmed that the expedition group finder is coming along with it. No mention of cross realm, so we'll have to wait and see how that actually looks in game. Another thing to note is that they did speak about the PvP reward track and some of the unexpected consequences of the decisions they made, and they called some of them a design mistake. And specifically they were referring to the forts. They said they changed that from like, I think it was 2.5 minutes to 10 minutes straight away. I think that may have been changed to like 15 minutes, but don't correct me on that one because I'm not 100% sure and I don't really care. But at the moment, you know, you can only do like 10 a day as well. They did that in the last patch. But they said they were sort of happy with the amount of open world PvP that's going on around forts. They did a little mention of Great Cleave, and I have to presume that they're happy with that because they never said they were going to nerf it or change it. Personally, I would still like Great Cleave to maybe just be capped at maybe like 10 and then you get like soft cap, something like that. But they did address some of the mistakes that they had made. And then the next big thing that they really spoke about is changes to loot and perks, and there's some really massive things going on there. They said they are updating and effectively buffing 150 perks because they've noticed that basically a small select group of these perks were getting used and the others weren't, so they're literally just straight up buffing them. One example they gave is that they said that durability one is being changed to something else and it'll just never take durability damage, but they did then also say that it's actually just not going to drop as frequently, so you're not going to get it and only the useful perks are going to drop. And if you have the item in your inventory, then you're just going to get upgraded to the new version of the perks. They did mention how weapon perks, if they are on the weapon, have actually been buffed and they're going to be considerably better. Now personally, I would almost like to see eventually just the weapon perks being removed from the armor and just be purely on the weapons, and maybe this is an indication that that's where they want to go, maybe in an expansion. They also said they are literally just going to increase the amount of quality drops, so you're going to get less greens and less blues and you're going to get more purples and more legendaries. Great. And those legendaries and purples are going to have more useful perks, and the perks now are obviously obviously better. They're also introducing a way, and they didn't necessarily elaborate too much on how the inner workings of this is going to work, but basically you'll be able to take legendaries that you get from an expedition. If they're not the legendary that you want, like for example you didn't get Fury but you keep getting all the other legendaries, you will be able to sort of salvage them and get some like rare material, and then over time you'll be able to craft Fury, basically giving you, I guess, like bad luck prevention. So if you always just get the ones that you don't want, you can eventually get the one that you want, but you will have to craft it, maybe through the gypsum kiln or something like that, because I don't think it'll be necessarily like through armoring or weaponsmithing, but we'll have to wait and see. Either way, that sounds great. Just overall really positive changes there, I think, and pretty much buffs to everything and buffs to our enjoyment. I honestly believe that. They also spoke a bit about trade skills. Apparently gathering and refining is basically going to be, when I say nerfed, I mean it's going to be easier to level it up, and they're actually going to remove the previous tiers of refining materials, but the ones that you have right now you'll have to like manually convert or something. They're also making some of the professions just a lot quicker, as I mentioned the gathering and refining, but I think they specifically called out weaponsmithing and furnishing being examples that they want to speed up. As part of the loot and the gear items and stuff like that, they said that the crafting perks will basically be dropped a lot less frequently. However, they're going to make sure that they drop in specific areas and you'll know where to get them. So it sounds like weaponsmithing pants, for example, will be easier to get, but if you need like a specific weaponsmithing, I don't know, boots, you'll know where to go for them. They also said that they're going to be making salvaging a lot more rewarding just in general, and I think we've all been waiting for that. So really that's everything we saw. We're going to be getting a new expedition. The expedition orbs are getting removed. You will be able to use your old ones to do something to basically get either more gold or more loot. The expedition group finder is coming. The summer event is here as well. That's going to be interesting. They're basically splitting how they're doing this on the PTR. You're going to be like spread out so people know what to test and when. Sounds like we're not getting a PTR big patch for June. It sounds like we're going to get a PTR in June, but it's actually going to be released in July. That's fine. And some massive changes to loot and gear and stuff like that, which we're going to have to see some patch notes though. That sounds massive and crazy, and I'm very excited about them. All in all, mostly positive. People might be a little bit upset with the time gating of the expeditions, but I think for most players that's an amount that we can mostly be happy with. You hardcore nerds out there, you may have a bit of a problem with it, but I mean, fair enough. Like if you're doing 15 dungeons a day and you're doing 20 mutated a week, like fair enough, crack on. You play way more than I do, and you be grumpy, I'm fine with that, but for most of us we're going to be happy with that, I think. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Have a most beautiful day. Like and subscribe. Goodbye.